Welcome back to 3 Inquisitive Kids. In this video, we'll be having a talk through 2 word problems using the concept of equivalent ratios. Let's start with problem 1. Jaqueline and Jason planted some trees in the ratio 3:5. After Jason planted another 12 trees, the ratio became 1:2. How many trees did Jaqueline plant? Well, let's start by collecting information from the problem. The problem says that 2 kids, Jaqueline and Jason, are planting some trees. First, they planted some trees in the ratio 3:5. But then, after Jason planted another 12 trees, the ratio became 1:2. Now we're asking, how many trees did Jaqueline plant? So, first what we have to do is list an before and after ratio. In this case, the before ratio would be 3:5. And remember, this is in the form Jaqueline. I'll write a Q for that. To S, Jason. So 3:5 would be our before ratio. And our after ratio would be 1:2. Also, we have to know that Jason planted another 12 trees. And that is what changed in problem. Well, if we want to solve this problem, we need to first be able to find the amount of 1 unit that these ratios have. But before we can figure that out, we have to make sure that the 2 ratios are based on the same unit. These are different ratios, so we want to make them based on the same unit so that each unit has the same amount. If we know that Jaqueline didn't change anything, Jaqueline's amount stayed the same after all, we want to somehow make this 3 and 1 become the same. And since Jason changed, we don't have to worry about keeping that the same because in the problem, Jason did change. To make these the same, we can change the 1:2 into its equivalent ratio, with 3 as the first unit. How do we do that? We multiply a 3 on both sides of the ratio. So on this side, we have 2 times 3, which gives us 6. And over here on this side, we have 1 times 3, which gives us 3. Now the ratios are 3:5 and 3:6. Now it's much easier to compare them because they are based on the same unit. Well, going back to what we were talking about before, we know that we need to figure out what 1 unit is. So 1 unit is equal to something. But now we can figure that something out. We know that Jaqueline's amount is supposed to stay the same, and that's what is right here. The 3 equals 3. But in the problem, it said that Jason changed 12 more trees, so it added the 12 more trees. And does 5 equal 6? No, 6 is 1 unit larger than 5. So that 1 unit must be 12 trees, because that's what the word problem told us, that changed. So now we know that 1 unit is 12 trees. So now we can find what 3 units are. Because we know that over here, Jaqueline had 3 units. So if we know that 1 unit is 12 trees, and we want to figure out what 3 units are, we only have to multiply a 3 to 12, which gives us 36 trees. And that is our answer. Jaqueline had planted 36 trees. So, let's conclude the solution for a minute. What we did was we changed the ratios into their equivalent ratios so that they're based on the same units. And then it made us easier to compare them, and it turned out that 1 unit was 12 trees. Then all we had to do was take the 3 units over here from Jaqueline's unit of the ratio and then multiply that to 12, which is 3 times 12, which is 36. So the final answer is 36. Jaqueline planted 36 trees. So now let's take a look at problem 2. Last year, in the year 2019, Jason had planted some tomato plants and pumpkin plants in his backyard. The ratio of the number of tomato plants to pumpkin plants was 3 to 5, but a few months later, 12 tomato plants had died. The ratio of the plants left was 1 to 2. How many tomato plants did Jason plant? Okay, so just as before, let's first list down the before and after ratio. The before ratio would be 3 to 5, and the after ratio would be 1 to 2. Remember, over here, it's the ratio of tomatoes to pumpkins. And what changed was that 12 tomatoes died. So that's basically subtracting a 12 from the tomatoes ratio. So now to compare these to figure out the 1 unit, we need to turn them into their equivalent ratios. So over here, let's try multiplying a 5 on both sides of the ratio. And that would give us over here 5 to 10. And on the other side, it would give us 6 to 10 by multiplying a 2 on both sides. Now it's easier for us to compare. Look, I multiplied a 2 over here and a 5 over here and compare it easier. Because remember, when we are wanting to make them into their equivalent ratios, we don't need just any equivalent ratio. We need a ratio that's going to help us make comparing the ratios more efficiently. Because we know that the number of pumpkins did not change, we want to set that pumpkin unit, which is the second unit over here, as the equal unit, the equal number of units, which is both 10. Because it's going to tell us, well, it stays 10 because it was never changed. But over here, for the tomatoes, something did change. Okay? Something did change. 12 was minus from t. So that's why it was easy for us when we saw that, oh, 5 and 6 are not equal, and 5 is less than 6. Well, that makes sense because the amount should get smaller after an amount is subtracted from the original amount. So now we can figure out what 1 unit is. It's 12 tomatoes, because in the problem they said that the change was minus 12 tomatoes, and over here it's minus 1 unit. So that must correspond together into 1 unit equals 12 tomatoes. And then we want to know how many tomato plants did Jason plant? Okay, so right now you might get a little confused about how to multiply that. What I mean by that is you're not sure which unit here we want to multiply to the 12. Okay, so we definitely do not have to look at any after ratios because it was asking for how many Jason planted in the first place, how much he planted at first. So the tomato plants had not died yet. It was still at the beginning. Nothing has died yet. And we can't multiply it by the 3 over here because the 6 was the one that was helping us find the unit. It was the one based on that unit that we have right now. So we need to multiply a 6 to 12, which is going to give us 72. So the answer is Jason planted 72 tomato plants in total at the beginning. So let's conclude this for a moment. Just like the other problem, we turned them into their equivalent ratios to help us compare them better. And we knew that we couldn't do that just for any equivalent ratio. We had to make it more efficient for us. And then we knew that we had to multiply a 6 to 12 because that was the one that this one unit, was based on. It was the one that helped us get this one unit. It was the one that was based on this one unit. So we multiply 6 with 12 and we get 72. So we get the total answer, which is 72 tomato plants. Thank you for your support for our 3 Inquisitive Kids videos. We would super appreciate it if you go to the description down below and visit our website at https://inquisitivekids.github.io. And please remember to subscribe down below and add a thumbs up. Again, thank you for watching our channel videos. And remember, stay inquisitive.